How to play defense on Luka Doncic. I'm Tony. Welcome back to Streetball Strategy.
He told me I was wrong. Whole time my focus proving I belong. Close with my brothers and my lineage young. They all I have when I ain't had none. Now my talk big when I'm back what we done. Throwing them bands in the air for the fun. Hit all my goals cause I knew what I want.
Today we're talking about what my strategy would be to play defense on Luka Doncic. So first of all, this is just an opinion video. It's just what I think. If you disagree with me, if you think I'm totally wrong, that's perfectly fine with me. I'm not here to convince you that I'm right. I'm not here to convince you that you're wrong. And I'm not here to try to convince you to agree with me. It's just a matter of opinion. Second of all, this video is applicable primarily to the 2024 NBA playoffs, and especially towards the 2024 NBA Finals, which are about to start as I record this video. I'm not saying you should use this strategy the entire game, or you should even start the game with this strategy. I just think at some point you're not really going to have any choice but to try to implement this strategy. You're going to have to use it because it's going to be necessary. I think it's the most effective way to deal with defending Luka Doncic. You may not start the game, you may not play the entire game that way, but I think it is the most effective way to defend him. So let's talk about the best way I think of to strategize defending Luka Doncic. The overall general idea is pretty simple. Hard to do, hard to achieve and pull off, but generally simple, and that is to let anybody, from a scoring perspective, anybody can beat you except for Luka. Why is that? Because Luka Doncic is the scoring champion in the 2024 season, and the Dallas Mavericks offensive strategy is to let him score points. The more points he scores, the easier it is for them to win, and the more frequently they do it. That's how they want to win. That's how they want to play. They want to let Luka score as much as he possibly can. It makes winning easier on them. The more they do that, the more they win. That is their go-to offensive strategy. So the idea is, don't let him score. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to shut him down. You're not going to be able to take him out. That's not really a real possibility. But of course, you do want to limit him as much as you possibly can. And the biggest, most prominent way I can think of and see to do that is by taking away his three-pointers. So how would you go about taking them away? Well, you pick him up half court, right? You press him half court, you put a body on him, you get your body on him. Don't give him any space between half court and the three-point line, right? Give him no space to create his three-point shot. Now, that's easier said than done, but here's the deal. The entire team, like the entire Boston Celtics, for instance, in the finals coming up, right? The entire team knows that your defensive strategy revolves around not giving the three-point shot to Luka. So if we're not giving him the three-point shot, what we want him to do is get inside of that three-point line, step inside of it. And his defender is going to try to achieve that by putting a body on him at half court, pressing him, not giving him any space. Now, here's where whoever's defending him is going to have to be disciplined, and they're gonna have to like break their, the way they traditionally would play defense, because usually, right, you would give the shooter, whoever the ball handler is, you would give him a little bit of space. Even if you were trying to defend his three-point shot, you would still give him a little bit of space because you don't want to give up the drive, right? You don't want to give up him driving past you and getting to the lane, or at least getting to inside that three-point line. But with this very specific defense on Luka, that is what you want him to do. You don't want him to shoot the three. You want him to be inside of that three-point line. He is most deadly, most comfortable and most effective from outside of the three-point line. So you want to force him inside. You do that by bodying him, getting a body on him, not giving him any space. And because he's looking for that step back three, his defender has to be aware of that, and everybody on the rest of the team needs to be aware of that as well. So when he pulls that jab to try to get you to go in that direction, so then he can then step back for that three-point shot, you can go with him on that jab, but you better come back with him. Like, here's the deal. This is Luka Doncic we're talking about, right? He does not have the athleticism or the speed to consistently get past you. He's probably slower than you. He's not going to out-quick you to the basket. So when he pulls that jab, go with him, but no, he's probably going to step back for that step back three. So jab with him, but then go back with him as well. Because he's not faster than you, you should be able to stick that. So that's a big defensive adjustment you're gonna have to make. Either you let him have that jab step so that maybe he goes around you, which you're okay with, or if he does give you that jab, you go with him, but you also come back with him to that step back. So you can always have a body on him so he doesn't have the space for that step back three. Ideally, as the defender, as the defense, what you want him to do is go, okay, if I'm Luka Doncic and I can't get you off of me and create the space for the three-point shot, well, if I see that you're playing so close to me, okay, well then I'm just gonna go around you and make my way towards the basket, which means I'm gonna have to get inside that three-point line. That's what you're looking for. That's what you want him to do. You want him to get past you. Normally you wouldn't want an opponent to do that, right? Because you're trying to play good solid defense on him, but in the case of Luka, in the case of these playoffs, you do want him to get past you. Of course, that makes him open, right? When he does get past you. When he's past you, that means, okay, all your teammates behind you are aware that at some point, Luka is gonna get past you because you're forcing him inside that three-point line. So someone is gonna have to step up behind you, one of your teammates, and pick Luka up once he gets inside that three-point line. That, of course, is going to leave that helper's man open. That is what we want. Like, we don't want to have that other player, like Luka's teammate, be open. We don't want that, but we want to get the ball out of Luka's hand. Anybody beats us but Luka. So if Luka passes to that open guy, it sucks that he's open, but we would rather have him be open because he's a less of a player, less of a scorer than Luka Doncic. So whatever it takes to get the ball out of Luka's hands. Now, of course, this causes and opens up a whole nother, jar of problems in terms of getting the ball out of Luka's hands and having his teammates be open. Yes, that causes other problems, but the overall general strategy is Dallas wants Luka to score as many points as possible. That's the easiest, most effective way for them to win games. So whatever it takes to get the ball out of Luka's hands, to have anyone else beat you but Luka, that is the overall general strategy for how I think you should defend him. Like I said, I'm sure you're seeing all kinds of problems with this defensive strategy. So let's address some of these problems. Number one being the Dallas Mavericks that gets open because of this kind of defense you're playing. Like I said, keep in mind, what Dallas wants is to have Luka live at the three-point line. They want him shooting those threes because that's a very simple, easy way for them to score. And not only are they scoring, but they're scoring 3 points. The Dallas Mavericks want Luka to score like that. That's how Luka wants to score. That's how he's most comfortable scoring. He wants that step back three because if he can just bring the ball down the court, go one-on-one, pull that step back three, and more than likely it goes in, that's a very simple, easy way for them to score. What we are trying to do as the defense is we're trying to add extra steps into their scoring process. So we want to get the ball out of Luka's hands and have him pass to somebody, even if that person is way wide open because of the help that had to come over to play Luka once he gets inside the three-point line. Even if that player's way wide open, that player is less of a scorer and less of a player than Luka Doncic. You can live with that person scoring. Whether they shoot an open three or they drive the lane, you would rather have that person try to score the ball than Luka. Because if they score 40 points and Luka only scores like 16, then you have much better chance to win that game because that other player, lesser player, it's less likely that team is going to be galvanized by that other player scoring 40 points than Luka scoring 40 points. Because if Luka starts scoring a ton of points, especially early, the whole rest of the Dallas Mavericks team just feed off of that, and then they're almost impossible to stop at that point. But if someone else does it, it's much less likely the team is going to gather around that other person scoring all those points and create a team momentum than when Luka does it. Also, by forcing Luka to pass to that open player, you're adding more steps into their scoring process. So instead of Luka just coming down and shooting the three and going back down the floor, right now he has to come down the floor, have a body on him at all times. He gets forced inside the three-point line. Somebody steps up to pick him up from being open, which then he has to pass to whoever's open. That's adding more steps into how you're requiring the Dallas Mavericks to score. The more steps they have to go through in order to score, the more likely it is that they're going to make some kind of mistake along the way. Is it likely that they're going to make mistakes? No, because they're one of the best teams in basketball this season. They're seasoned in their offense. They know what they're doing, right? It's unlikely that they're going to make mistakes, but you would rather take the chance on potential mistakes being made from other lesser players than Luka trying to score than to have Luka just come down, step back on that three, and then go back down the court. More steps in the scoring process means more potential mistakes and thus turnovers the Dallas Mavericks may make. It's not likely, but it's better than Luka just coming down and shooting that step back three. Also, when I've made these arguments online before on social media, I get pushback. Some of the pushback I get, and I forget that a lot of players, people that are on social media that are commenting on, posts that are being made on social media about basketball, about this series, about Luka and how to stop him from scoring. I forget that most of those players, people commenting on this subject, are usually younger players, especially younger players than me, because I'm an old guy at this point. But I'm not just some old, washed up, used to be player. I'm also someone who spent decades lovingly obsessing about the game. I studied the game relentlessly for decades. And if you're younger than me, especially 15 plus years younger than me, I've probably forgotten more basketball than you've probably learned yet. And that's not a jab at you, and it's not even really me flexing. It's just a matter of that's just the way it was, because I was obsessed with the game for decades. And nowadays when I find myself on social media, I forget that these younger players probably don't have the kind of understanding of the game as I do. And so one of the pushbacks I'll get on social media that surprise me is I'll get a comment like, oh, Kyrie Irving exists, right? Meaning okay, if you do whatever you can to limit Luka, well, it doesn't matter because they still have Kyrie on their team, and Kyrie is a very, potentially dangerous high scorer as well. So what if you take Luka out, if you limit his scoring? Then you have to deal with Kyrie. What then? Don't forget that he exists. And again, I have to repeat my strategy. Anyone should and can beat you except for Luka. He's the scoring champion this season, not Kyrie. Yes, Kyrie is great. Yes, Kyrie can score all kinds of points. Yes, he has all kinds of handles, athleticism, and he can pass the ball like crazy. Yes, he can do all those things. There's no disrespect to Kyrie Irving. I would rather have Kyrie beat me from a scoring perspective than Luka. Anybody but Luka, including Kyrie. I did not forget that he exists. If Kyrie beats you because he scores 40 points and Luka only scores 18, if you're the Boston Celtics in these 2024 finals, you can live with that. You can deal with that. There's no shame in losing to Kyrie scoring 40 points because that's how great Kyrie is. But the difference is, if you lose to Luka scoring 40, well, then you just lost in the exact way that Dallas wants you to lose. See, the thought is a loss is a loss. Whether Kyrie scores 40 or Luka scores 40, either way you lose, what does it matter? It does matter because there's levels to this. Yes, you lose, but it's a matter of, do you lose the way Dallas wants you and intends and plans, strategizes for you to lose? Or do you lose in a way where you made them adjust to your defense in order for them to beat you? Do you see the difference? Does it matter to you? Because at least it matters to me. I would rather lose the game playing the kind of defense that I want against the most potent offensive player in the game than to just sort of lay down and let that offensive player have his offensive scoring way with me. Do you see the difference? So yes, let Kyrie score 50. Let Kyrie get 50 points and 20 assists. As long as Doncic doesn't do that, I can live with that because that's what Dallas wants. That's their number one go-to. Even if Kyrie is like their 1A option right behind Luka, I would rather lose to that second option because that second option means I at least forced Dallas to adjust using my defense. I didn't just get used and abused by them offensively. In the 2024 playoffs, it's been by Luka Doncic scoring as many points as he possibly can. That's what the Dallas Mavericks are leaning on right here, right now. You have to do whatever you can to take that away from them. So anybody can beat you except for Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't even really care who's gonna win these 2024 NBA Finals in terms of like, I don't have a team that I'm pulling for. I don't have a favorite team, I don't have a favorite player. I just wanna see high quality, competitive basketball. I hope it goes 7 games. I always do in every playoff game. I just think that when you're talking about like, okay, how are you gonna defend Luka effectively enough so that it actually does go 7 games? The way to do it is to get the ball out of his hands. From an offensive standpoint, Luka has dominated these playoffs so far, so he can't dominate the game if he doesn't have the ball in his hands. Force him inside the three-point line, get the ball out of his hands. Anybody can beat you, including Kyrie, anybody but Luka. If you lose to Dallas, then at least you lose the game defending the way you want to defend, not the way they want to offensively play you. Make them adjust to you. If you lose making them adjust, then you just got beat by a better team. But if you just let Luka go off from the three-point line, then you lost exactly the way Dallas wanted you to lose. That, to me, that's the worst way to lose possible. So if you're gonna lose, then at least lose by making them adjust offensively. I understand that moral victories are for minor league coaches, but yet and still, it's better than just laying down and letting Dallas have their way with you. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, if you found it insightful at all, then please subscribe to the channel. And also, let us know down in the comments, what do you think? How would you defend Luka? What would your strategy be try to, take Dallas out of their game plan in order to try to beat them? But before you comment, make sure you hit that thanks button down below, because not only will hitting that thanks button highlight any comment you make, making it stand out from any other comment, but it also directly supports the channel. So for anyone that does hit that thanks button, know I genuinely appreciate it. As always, like, share, comment like I said, make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified whenever any video goes live on this channel. And until then, I'll see you guys next week.
Gold on me like an emperor, symbolizing I'm winning first. Fate always remained the same, even when I was at my worst. I was down, but I was never out. Caught an audible, ran a better route. Disregarded all the cheap talk. I said I did me and just let them down. No sleep.